Horus and Jazz Home Reacts, and this is what were the Xeno races doing during the Horus Heresy by the channel Major Kill. Yeah, this was just uploaded a few hours ago. Yeah, this is got recommended on my homepage, I guess, because I did the what were the Chaos Primarchs doing after the during and after the Horus Heresy, whatever, right? So this is gonna be interesting. Like while the Horus Heresy is going, what are the Necrons and everybody else is doing, right? Eldars and shit. Oh, this is such a good topic. I like this kind. I don't know. The lore is so deep of Warhammer. Obviously, there's going to be details about who was doing what. But I like the channel like Major Kill is actually talking about this. Every other channel is talking about the main topics like when, what event happened, right? But this side things is just awesome. So let's watch it.
Gal, yes, new setup. You like it? I finally found someone who understands the basics of depth, cameras and lighting, and bam, suddenly I'm crisper than the Emperor's dried out corpse. If you're now wondering how I'll show info or images without covering the frame, then bam, the power of editing, baby. This also means that me cutting to sponsors won't be so jarring anymore. I can just do it here. Very exciting stuff. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking? Oh yes, that's right. What the other races were up to during the Horus Heresy. The Heresy was a very large event in the setting of 40k. No larger war had been fought in the Milky Way for over 60 million years. Countless died, and many worlds were left a lifeless husk. But in saying that, it was a very human-on-human war. There seemed to be very little Xeno influence on it, despite the fact that the current Imperium is fighting a war on all fronts against various Xeno empires. So what were those Xenos doing during the Heresy? Why didn't they take advantage of the war to further their own agendas? Before we get started, see, seamless transition into announcements. I have officially become a real-life certified YouTuber, and that's because I designed my very own Major Kill plush. That's now available to buy right this second. This thing is cute as hell. You can pop it next to your computer, give it a cuddle, give it to your kid, or just, cut a hole in it and use it as a flashlight. If you shut your eyes, it'll feel like me. This little dude will only be around for 3 weeks. After that, gone forever. However, if we sell enough of them, I can get different versions made and we can just keep going. If they keep selling and we keep making them, who knows, maybe there'll be like 5 made and it'll be like collecting the Infinity Stones. $5 and up patrons will get a discount, so if you wanted an excuse to join the Patreon or upgrade your pledge that doesn't involve hentai, then now is your chance. There is a minimum order requirement before the plush can go into production, so let's not be one of those sad channels that publicly flops. That would be the second most embarrassing thing to happen to me today. Today we'll go over what each of the main Xeno races and factions were up to during the Horus Heresy, talking about what impact they had on the Heresy or why they had no impact at all. Let's get into it. Starting with the Elder, because they are my mini army of choice and also, The Elder were arguably the most active Xeno race during the Horus Heresy. However, their involvement was complicated and very behind the scenes. It was also only the Craft Welders who actually gave a shit. The Dark Elder happily sat in their unreachable realm in the Webway, whilst the Exodites just prayed to their dead gods.
Yeah, so Drukar is basically the Dark Elder sitting in the realm just watching the Heresy happening. Ah, what amateurs. Right, I would have done this way more painful than that. And Craft were like, look at those lowly humans, what are they doing?
That people would just leave them the fuck alone. I'm sure the Dark Elder raids might have increased a bit since the Imperium was preoccupied with killing itself, but nothing stands out to me. The Craft Welders, however, were a bit more active, and by Craft Worlds I mean Eldrad, because that dude is involved in literally everything. He was one of the few people to accurately foresee the Horus Heresy, hence he tried to meddle with it. He is quite the meddler.
Foresee.
At first he's running around like a headless chicken doing random contradictory stuff, but then he decides to help the Imperium. He goes to Fulgrim, who was seen to be one of the less xenophobic Primarchs, to warn him of Horus's betrayal. This went really poorly, as Fulgrim had already been corrupted by the Layer Blade at this point. Hence Fulgrim and Eldrad's forces fought. Eldrad lost, losing an avatar of Cain, a Wraith Lord, and his faith in humanity all in one fight. On the other side of the coin...
Imagine him running towards him like, oh, Horus has fallen. Horus is just gonna betray all of you. It's like, yeah, it already has happened, and now I'm gonna kill you. It's like, god damn it.
was a group of Eldar who were actively trying to help Horus. These Eldar were the members of the Cabal, a secret organization of very powerful Xenos that included stuff like Slan. They could also create.
They are the one who resurrected
perpetuals.
Guilliman,
now, this
right?
might seem contradictory, but they actually hate chaos. However, they came up with two future predictions. One was the victory of the Imperium, causing the slow but inevitable decay and corruption of the galaxy by chaos. The other was the victory of Horus.
All Eldars hate chaos, right? Because of the slowness.
Which would set the galaxy on fire and drive mankind and chaos to extinction. However, that would save the other Xeno races in the galaxy. By showing these visions to Alfarius, they were actually able to get him to turn traitor and join Horus, as Alfarius believed that the Emperor would have wanted him to choose the path that destroyed chaos, even though that logic is fucking retarded. However, these visions were very flawed, as the future of 40k is never set in stone. This prophecy has already been declared to be broken and unreliable, with characters such as Guilliman returning, which actually broke everyone's prophecies. If the Alpha Legion had remained totally loyalist, then it's likely the Emperor wouldn't be a shriveled up sausage left out in the sun. So yeah, fuck the Cabal. Anyway, a big thing that Eldrad was doing during the Heresy—
Wait a minute, is this Games Workshop issue? Like, they created this kind of a lore about the prophecies, but even they're like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna resurrect Guilliman because it feels like more fun going forward. Did they retcon shit like that? Is it retconned, or is it just, the prophecies fallen or something?
was thwarting the Cabal, as the Cabal was doing other shit to try help Horus, such as killing Vulcan. Eldrad was able to attack the Cabal, killing all of them, because he's a boss, and then he helped Vulcan get back to Terra. This is all pretty big stuff, but not only just saving Vulcan, but helping him get back to Terra to perform some important tasks is a pretty influential thing to do. I bet Vulcan is feeling pretty guilty about the whole barbecued Eldar child situation. The real reason why it was literally only Eldrad trying to do stuff was because the writers benched Xenos really hard during the Heresy. But the in-law reason is that the Craftworlders despise humanity and were happy to let them kill each other. After all,
like I said, lowly humans.
Lorgar destroyed a Craftworld after they invited him on board and taught him their language, and at least a couple other Craftworlds and Maiden Worlds were destroyed by the Imperium during the Great Crusade, so they didn't exactly feel obliged to help the Emperor. What about the Orcs? They were very...
Hey, there's a heresy happening, they're killing each other. Should we do something about those lowly humans? And then the background shot pans and everything is broken behind. There are bullet holes. Nah man, fuck them.
Present during the Great Crusade, probably the most common enemy of the Imperium. Why did they seemingly vanish when all the wars got spicy? Well, that's because there was next to no orcs still alive. The Great Crusade has genocided the ever-living tits out of the fungal menace. All the worlds were purged, wars crumped, and war bosses annihilated. When the orcs gathered on Ullanor for their big counterattack, the Emperor's counterattack saw the massacre of the largest orc army still in existence. Considering this army only numbered a few million orcs, thanks to GW's consistent lack of number comprehension, that means that there was fuck all orcs around. So they were pretty much all just dead.
Okay, look, orcs are powerful, right? Orcs' whole biology and everything makes them way too OP, and especially their imagination, they can imagine shit to basically created using their imagination. All that is great, fine. But let's be honest, Emperor and the 18 or so Primarch, right? Emperor with 18 Primarchs going for Great Crusade. Yeah, of course, all the orcs were purged. You think there is any chance at that point? Come on.
During the Heresy, which is why they weren't around. It was only after a few thousand years that orc spores could propagate enough to replenish the orc race and become a threat to the Imperium once again. What about the Tau? What were those noseless blue simps up to? Probably banging sticks together and ooga-boogering each other's sphincters. I don't know, I wasn't there. The Tau are a relatively new race on the galactic stage.
Yeah, it's were Tau were there when the Horus Heresy happened? Every time somebody say they were newer, I always assume it's later on. Like Heresy has happened few thousand years and then Tau appeared or something. Tau were there during the Horus Heresy?
I mean, there are dreadnoughts older than their entire civilization. A Mars explorer fleet found the Tau during the 35th millennium, and they had only just mastered fire. They were literally Stone Age. So take 5,000 years off that, and Yeah, holy shit. The Tau were pre-Stone Age during the Horus Heresy. I didn't even know
Maybe
that
it
was
didn't
a
exist
thing.
then.
So completely unsurprisingly, they had absolutely no effect on the heresy or literally anything except the fleas on their mates' backs for the next few thousand years. The Necrons are an interesting one. Sure, we could all say they did nothing and they were all asleep, but that wouldn't be entirely correct. Not all Necrons were asleep during the heresy. A number of them had woken up early, including our boy Trizin the Infinite. Trizin found humanity incredibly boring, so he mostly ignored them during the Great Crusade. However, the Horus Heresy was super fun for him. He found the tales of betrayal, regret, brother versus brother, father versus
He was
sons
getting
to
off.
be incredibly gripping and
Look at that
compelling
face.
stuff. So he did what any historian worth his metal would do. Started bunny hopping to various different Horus Heresy battle zones and then kidnapping some of the warriors mid-battle. He would then set up an exhibit that was an accurate recreation of the battle in his planet-sized museum before putting those kidnapped Astartes in it. Trapped in
Get
stasis,
out!
of course. The exhibit would not last long if they weren't. He did this for the Istvan dropsite massacre and a few others. The heresy ignited Trizin's interest in humanity, as since then he's been kidnapping important figures and stealing important shit from them. For example, he has inquisited.
What? Oh, this is so good. I mean, I like how the deep lore is that everybody has their own thing. This Necron shit that we just witnessed here is not important to anything. But yet they added their small element, like, oh, he was so fascinated that he was just basically just drooling all over the scene and everything was happening. He was literally kidnapping people and recreating the battles and shit. Like, this has nothing to do with Horus Heresy, but he was just doing his own thing. This feels like some kind of an RPG open world game where there's some kind of a weird side quest that has nothing to do with anything, but it's just there for, immersion sake, I guess. This is so good, man. I like it. Just, Necron's like, yeah, fuck it. But yeah, this is fascinating. I'm gonna kidnap some people.
Visitors, as well as Lord Castellan Creed in his exhibit, not to mention a shoulder pauldron of every single loyalist chapter, as well as a fucking custodian. This could imply that he has infiltrated every loyalist chapter and maybe even the Imperial Palace itself over the last 10,000 years. During the fall of Cadia, Trizin wanted to be a hero, so he arrived to help the loyalists. To aid them, he led out a force of loyalist marines and one of his custodi from the heresy era. That would have been a very surreal experience. So whilst the Necrons as a species didn't do a whole lot, Trizin carried the flag for them, much in the same way that Eldrad did for the Space Elves. The Tyranids weren't present during the heresy, as they hadn't even arrived in the galaxy by that point. It would be about 10,000 years later that the Tyranids would start popping up and ruining everyone's shit. However, that doesn't mean the Tyranids aren't connected to the heresy. See, the space bugs of death didn't just trip over themselves and end up in the Milky Way. They only travel to galaxies with sentient life, as sentient life is the food source they crave. As such, if they waste time going to a galaxy only to find it empty of life, they will starve and die. So how did they know the Milky Way was primed and ready for consumption? During the heresy, the loyalists discovered the Pharos device, which was like a mini Astronomicon, most likely of Necron origin. They used this device to pretty much win the heresy, saving numerous loyal Primarchs and guiding loyalist legions to safety. However, when the traitors attacked it to try use it for their own devices, it was overloaded and blown up, momentarily creating an extremely bright beacon in the warp. This beacon is what alerted the Tyranids to the Milky Way. There was no natural occurrence that could have caused such a large blimp in the warp. It could only have been done by a powerful sentient species. As such, the Horus Heresy is entirely to blame for the Tyranids' arrival.
Damn.
If the Tyranids do end up eating everyone, which I doubt, but who knows after all the end times exist, then it would be the Horus Heresy that would have caused this. The other minor Xeno races had little to no impact. Stuff like the Demiurge and Kroot were still in their primitive forms. Others like the Leia and the Kinibrach had been mostly genocided during the Great Crusade, so they couldn't really do a whole lot, whilst others like the Rakghoul would remain hidden to the Imperium for thousands more years. So overall, Xenos had a very minor impact on the heresy, with most of them twiddling their thumbs, sleeping, or just pulling a massive CBF. A fair critique of the heresy was the fact that the Xenos were so sidelined, and it ended up just being a massive Space Marine wankfest, which I think is just the writers being so in the zone of Primarchs and Space Marines, but overall it's a minor complaint. And with recent lore, like
not really, look, Imperium peaked at such a high level with the Emperor and Primarchs that they were literally the powerful thing around, right? I mean, imagine that 18 Primarchs with the Emperor, with, you know, actually finishing the Great Crusade, dominating the universe. I mean, if the Necrons comes back with a, you know, even immense power, can they really take on Emperor and 18 Primarchs if the Horus Heresy didn't happen? There's a reason why Horus Heresy happened, because even the Chaos got scared, right? So, I mean, the whole battle is between Primarchs and humans kind of makes sense, right? I mean, it would have been interesting and more complex that other Xenos races got in, but that would have shifted the narrative, like what Games Workshop was trying to focus on. Like, this is about, you know, internal civil fight, right? Civil war, basically. Like how there was a movie, Avengers Civil War, right? It is something similar to that, Primarchs fighting each other, and it's an internal war. If Xenos gets in, it just becomes a bit too complicated.
The Infinite and the Divine, stating some Xenos were active and even using the Heresy as a bit of a recreational activity, we can see that GW is trying to make them included without creating a bunch of canon conflicts.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then buy a
yeah, seriously, support this channel. Major Kill is great. I love his content so far, especially this video. I love that. Necron just like, oh, this is so interesting. I'm gonna make a museum out of this shit. Oh, that's the best thing ever. Man, I like how Games Workshop is thinking things, how they're creating a lore, right? It has more, I mean, look, anybody can create any lore where there is lore needed. Like certain events happen, these events are important, these events can be chained together, but making something that is insignificant, but they're just for fun of it, that's just great. And I love that whole, you know, Necron shit there. Well, that was what were the Xenos races doing during the Horus Heresy. Watch channel Major Kill. Yeah, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Comment down if you want to read any specific, you know, Warhammer 40k video. I think there's still Lutin's video I haven't finished yet. I'm gonna do it, I guess, you know, tomorrow, just pretty soon. I'm started doing Warhammer 40k video, and I think I'm gonna do that every day. I think I haven't finished Hell's Reach either. Also, text to speech device. I'm gonna finish all of them pretty soon. But yeah, all right. I'll see you next time.